No money, no test drive, the salesman declared loudly. Everyone in the luxury dealership turned to stare as Amelia stood there embarrassed in her simple clothes. Little did they know who her husband was, the very man who had just acquired this dealership chain. Their faces were about to change dramatically. The soft morning light filtered through the curtains as Amelia Richardson folded her favorite cream blouse. She placed it carefully in her overnight bag alongside a light pink cardigan. Nothing fancy, just comfortable. Exactly how she liked it. "You sure you don't want to wait until tomorrow? We could drive up together?" Daniel called from the bathroom, his voice echoing slightly against the tiles. Amelia smiled, zipping her bag closed. "And miss my spa day with Jennifer? No chance. Besides, I want to check out the new acquisition before you arrive." Daniel appeared in the doorway, towel around his waist, silver streaks in his dark hair, catching the light. At 45, he carried himself with the quiet confidence of a man who had built something substantial from nothing. "Just remember, nobody knows you there. I haven't even met the staff myself yet." "That's the point," Amelia replied, walking over to plant a kiss on his cheek. "Your corporate inspection team arrives tomorrow, but today, I'll see how they treat a regular customer. The real experience." Daniel shook his head, but his eyes crinkled with that familiar look of admiration. "Mystery shopping my own dealership, huh? Smart as always. 15 years in customer service before I met you taught me everything about how businesses really work," she reminded him. "And being underestimated is my superpower." The Richardson Auto Group had grown steadily over 20 years, but Daniel's latest acquisition, the prestigious North Lake Luxury Auto in downtown Chicago, was his most ambitious yet. The previous owner had built an impressive reputation for high-end vehicles, but customer complaints had skyrocketed in recent years. "Just observe. Don't intervene," Daniel cautioned. "I know how passionate you get when you see poor service." Amelia laughed. "I promise to behave, mostly." 3 hours later, Amelia pulled into a parking space several blocks from the dealership. She smoothed down her simple white blouse and adjusted her cardigan, checking her reflection in her compact mirror. At 42, her face showed character, laugh lines around her eyes that Daniel called her happiness markers. She walked the 3 blocks to North Lake Luxury Auto, purposely leaving her designer handbag in the car. Today she was just Amelia, not Amelia Richardson of Richardson Auto Group. The facade of North Lake gleamed with polished glass and chrome. Luxury vehicles displayed like crown jewels under perfect lighting. Taking a deep breath, she pushed through the revolving doors. The showroom bustled with activity, salespeople in crisp suits circling the floor like sharks. The scent of leather and ambition thick in the air. 3 men in nearly identical navy suits stood near the reception desk, laughing over something on a smartphone. Amelia approached a sleek black sedan, running her fingers lightly over its hood. Within seconds, she felt someone watching her. She turned to find a salesman, tall, impeccably dressed, with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, approaching. "Good morning," he said, his gaze quickly taking in her simple outfit and lack of visible status symbols. "Just browse today?" "Actually," Amelia replied warmly, extending her hand, "I'm interested in this model. I'm Amelia." The salesman, Gregory, according to his name tag, gave her hand a perfunctory shake. "Gregory Norton. This is our Balaza GT, quite an exclusive vehicle." His tone suggested she might be better suited elsewhere. Amelia recognized the evaluation happening behind his eyes, the quick calculation of her worth based solely on appearance. "It's beautiful," she said, deliberately ignoring his implied dismissal. "I'd like to know more about its features and possibly arrange a test drive." Gregory's smile tightened. Of course, though I should mention the Balaza starts at $115,000. Perhaps I could show you something more practical. This model is exactly what I'm looking for, Amelia replied firmly. She'd faced this subtle condescension many times before, the assumption that a woman in simple clothes couldn't possibly afford luxury. Very well, Gregory said with thinly veiled skepticism. The Balaza GT features a turbocharged V8 engine, premium leather interior, and advanced driver assistance technology. His description was cursory, lacking the enthusiasm he had undoubtedly shown a customer in an expensive suit. Amelia noticed two other salesmen watching from across the showroom, exchanging glances. Impressive, she nodded. I'd like to experience how it handles. Could we arrange that test drive now? Gregory's expression shifted, the practiced smile faltering. I'm afraid our test drives require pre-approval from our finance department. Perhaps if you'd like to discuss financing options first. Amelia understood exactly what was happening. She was being handled, guided away from what she'd actually requested. The real test of the dealership's character was about to begin. I don't need financing, Amelia said, her voice level, despite the familiar frustration building inside her. I'd prefer to pay in full. Gregory's eyebrows rose slightly. I see. Well, our policy still requires verification of funds before test driving vehicles in this price range. For security purposes, you understand. Amelia nodded. Of course. Would you like to see my bank statement? That would be helpful, Gregory replied, his tone suggesting he didn't expect much. Amelia reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone. I can show you my banking app. She opened the application, but before she could show him, Gregory cleared his throat. Perhaps we should discuss this with my manager. These high-value vehicles require special handling. He motioned toward a glass-enclosed office where a man in a charcoal suit sat behind a large desk. As they walked, Amelia noticed how Gregory positioned himself slightly ahead, not quite alongside her, small signals of hierarchy that didn't go unnoticed. The office door opened before they reached it. Gregory, is there a problem? The manager, Kenneth Peterson, according to the nameplate on his desk, looked past Gregory directly at Amelia, his assessment even quicker than Gregory's had been. Miss? Gregory paused, realizing he hadn't asked for her surname. Just Amelia is fine, she supplied, extending her hand to Kenneth. Miss Amelia is interested in the Balaza GT, Gregory explained, emphasizing her lack of surname as if it confirmed his suspicions. I explained our protocols regarding test drives. Kenneth's handshake was brief, his smile practiced. Of course, please have a seat. He gestured to a chair in front of his desk while taking his own seat. Gregory remained standing. I understand you're interested in our premium line, Kenneth began, folding his hands on the desk. The Balaza is one of our most exclusive models. Yes, it seems perfect for what I need, Amelia replied. And what exactly is that? Kenneth asked, his tone suggesting genuine curiosity, but his eyes calculating. I travel frequently between Chicago and Milwaukee. I need something reliable, comfortable, with excellent safety features, and yes, I appreciate luxury. Kenneth nodded slowly. Understandable, though there are many vehicles that offer reliability and comfort at various price points. Gregory here could show you several options that might better align with your situation. Amelia felt her patience wearing thin, but maintained her composure. I'm specifically interested in the Balaza GT. I've done my research. Research is wonderful, Kenneth said with a condescending smile that made Amelia's skin crawl. But experience in this industry allows us to guide customers to appropriate choices. The subtext was clear. He didn't believe she belonged in a luxury vehicle. "I'd like to test drive the Balaza," Amelia stated firmly. "Today." Kenneth exchanged a glance with Gregory before leaning forward slightly. "Perhaps we should be direct. Test driving our premium vehicles requires certain financial prerequisites. We can't simply allow anyone to take a $115,000 vehicle out for a spin." "Anyone?" Amelia repeated, her eyebrow raising slightly. Kenneth backpedaled slightly. "I simply mean we have protocols. Without verified financing approval or proof of ability to purchase—" "I can pay cash," Amelia interrupted. "I'd be happy to show you my account balance." Kenneth's smile remained fixed. "Even with available funds, we have a responsibility to ensure our vehicles are matched with appropriate buyers. The Balaza has specific maintenance requirements, insurance considerations—" "Which I fully understand," Amelia countered. By now, other salespeople had noticed the extended conversation in the manager's office. Some pretended to work while stealing glances. Others didn't bother hiding their interest. "I'll be straightforward," Kenneth said, dropping his smile. "The Balaza might not be the best fit for your lifestyle. Perhaps a test drive of our more accessible models would make sense first. Gregory can show you our certified pre-owned selection." The insinuation hung in the air. Amelia took a deep breath, determined to see this charade through to its conclusion. "I'd like to speak with someone else," she said calmly. Kenneth's expression hardened. "I'm the sales manager. I assure you everyone on my team will tell you the same thing. We have policies. No money, no test drive," Gregory added, his voice carrying enough that several heads turned in the showroom. "It's for everyone's protection." The humiliation was precisely orchestrated, public enough to discourage her but subtle enough that they maintained plausible deniability. It was a tactic Amelia had seen countless times in her former career in customer service. "I see," she said, rising from her seat. "Thank you for your time." As Amelia stepped out of Kenneth's office, she felt the eyes of everyone in the dealership on her. The whispers had already begun, salespeople leaning toward each other, sharing amused glances. She stood tall, despite the burning sensation of embarrassment creeping up her neck. Kenneth followed her out, speaking loudly enough for others to hear. "Please understand, we're simply following procedure. We'd be happy to assist you with more suitable options." The calculated humiliation was even clearer now. This wasn't just poor customer service. It was deliberate exclusion wrapped in a veneer of protocol, each word carefully chosen to emphasize that she didn't belong. "I understand perfectly," Amelia replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "But I'm still interested in the Balaza. Perhaps there's someone else who might help me?" A young salesman nearby caught her eye, seeming less hardened than the others. But before she could approach him, Gregory stepped into her path. "I'm afraid Mr. Peterson has the final say on premium test drives," he said, his voice dripping with false regret. "But I'd be happy to show you our selection of mid-range vehicles. Something more appropriate." The last word lingered in the air like an insult. Amelia stood her ground. "What exactly makes the Balaza inappropriate for me, Mr. Norton?" "I'm curious." Gregory glanced toward Kenneth, who gave an almost imperceptible nod of approval. The showroom had grown quieter, other customers sensing the tension. "The Balaza represents a significant investment," Gregory explained as if speaking to a child. "Our experience shows that customers who arrive unaccompanied and without appointment typically aren't prepared for vehicles in this class." "Unaccompanied?" Amelia repeated. "Would your approach be different if I had a man with me?" The question hung in the air. Gregory's practiced smile faltered momentarily. "That's not what I meant." "Isn't it?" Amelia interrupted, her voice calm but firm. "I wonder how many men in casual clothes you've turned away from test drives. Kenneth stepped forward, his face tightening. Now, there's no need to make accusations. Our policies apply to everyone. Do they? Amelia challenged, noticing a middle-aged man in jeans and a polo shirt being escorted to a silver sports car by another salesman. Your colleague seems to be arranging a test drive for that gentleman over there. Kenneth barely glanced in the direction she indicated. I assure you, he's a pre-qualified client. How convenient, Amelia remarked. She took a deep breath, reminding herself why she was here, to experience exactly this kind of treatment firsthand. Daniel needed to know how his newest acquisition operated when he wasn't watching. Perhaps I should speak with the owner, she suggested, knowing the irony of her request. This elicited a chorus of poorly concealed chuckles from nearby salespeople. Kenneth's smile returned, more condescending than ever. The owner, he repeated with amusement. Miss Amelia, Mr. Blackwell sold this dealership last week. The new ownership group is based out of state. I doubt they're concerned with individual test drive requests. Little did he know, Amelia thought. She checked her watch. Daniel would be arriving within the hour for a surprise visit ahead of tomorrow's official inspection. She simply needed to maintain her composure until then. I'll wait, she said, moving toward a leather sofa in the customer lounge area. As you wish, Kenneth replied with a dismissive shrug. Though I don't expect our policy to change in the meantime. As Amelia sat down, she noticed the subtle signals passing between the sales staff, the rolling eyes, the knowing smirks. She was now the showroom's entertainment for the day. The woman who didn't know her place. Amelia sat in the customer lounge, observing the dealership's operations while pretending to scroll through her phone. 40 minutes had passed since Kenneth's dismissal, and the sales team had largely forgotten about her, occasionally throwing glances her way, but mostly returning to their routines. She noticed how differently male customers were treated compared to the few women who entered. The pattern was consistent and troubling. Daniel needed to see this personally. The main doors swung open and Amelia felt her heart lift. Daniel Richardson walked in, cutting an impressive figure in his tailored charcoal suit. At 6 feet 1 inch, with salt and pepper hair and confident bearing, he commanded attention without seeking it, the natural presence of someone comfortable in their own skin. He paused just inside the entrance, surveying the showroom with a critical eye. No one approached him immediately, allowing Amelia to witness the stark difference in treatment. Within seconds, Gregory hurried over, clearly recognizing a high-value prospect. Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to North Lake Luxury Auto. I'm Gregory Norton. How may I assist you today? Daniel smiled politely but didn't immediately respond, his eyes continuing to scan the dealership. When he spotted Amelia, a brief flicker of recognition crossed his face before his expression returned to neutral. Years of business negotiations had perfected his poker face. I'm interested in your premium line, Daniel said, turning his attention back to Gregory, particularly the Balaza GT. Gregory practically beamed. An excellent choice, sir. The Balaza is one of our most prestigious vehicles. Would you like to see our available models? Actually, Daniel replied, I understand you have a black model on the floor. I'd like to take a closer look. Of course. Right this way. Gregory led Daniel toward the very vehicle Amelia had been denied access to. His entire demeanor transformed into eager attentiveness. This particular model features our exclusive leather package and premium sound system. Kenneth emerged from his office, sensing a major sale in progress. He approached with his hand extended. Kenneth Peterson, sales manager. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Richardson. Daniel Richardson. Daniel supplied, shaking his hand firmly. If the name registered with Kenneth, he showed no sign of recognition. The Richardson Auto Group had kept the acquisition quiet, with only the highest levels of management informed until the official announcement planned for next week. "Mr. Richardson, welcome to North Lake. I see Gregory is showing you our Balaza GT, a remarkable vehicle." "Yes, it caught my eye immediately," Daniel replied. "I'd like to arrange a test drive." "Absolutely." Kenneth's enthusiasm was palpable. "We can have that arranged right away. Would you like to see the vehicle specifications while we prepare the paperwork?" Daniel glanced toward Amelia, who continued watching from the lounge area. "Actually, I'd like to invite my wife to join us. She's been waiting to see this model as well." Kenneth's smile faltered slightly. "Your wife?" Daniel turned and called across the showroom. "Amelia, would you join us, please?" Every head in the dealership turned as Amelia rose from her seat and walked toward them, her simple white blouse and pink cardigan, now the center of attention. The confusion on Kenneth's face slowly transformed into dawning horror as the connection became clear. Gregory stood frozen, his mouth slightly open as Amelia approached. "Hello, darling," she said, giving Daniel a quick kiss on the cheek before turning to Kenneth with a pleasant smile. "Mr. Peterson and I were just discussing this exact model earlier. He was explaining why I couldn't test drive it." Daniel's eyebrow raised questioningly. "Is that so? I'd love to hear about that policy." The color drained from Kenneth's face as realization crashed over him. His eyes darted between Amelia and Daniel, desperately trying to process what was happening. Mrs. Richardson," he stammered, the name suddenly taking on new significance. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding." Gregory stood paralyzed. His practiced smile vanished completely. Around them, the showroom had gone eerily quiet, every employee suddenly finding reason to be within earshot. "No misunderstanding," Amelia replied calmly. "You were quite clear. The Balaza GT isn't appropriate for someone like me. I believe the exact phrase was, 'No money, no test drive.'" Daniel's expression remained measured, but his eyes had hardened. "Interesting policy, especially considering my wife's name is on half the ownership documents of this dealership." Kenneth swallowed visibly. "Mr. Richardson, if I had known—" "That's precisely the problem," Daniel interrupted, his voice low but carrying in the silent showroom. "You shouldn't need to know who someone is to treat them with respect." Amelia placed a gentle hand on Daniel's arm, her signal that she wanted to handle this herself. He nodded, almost imperceptibly. "Mr. Peterson," she said, "I came here today to experience your dealership as an ordinary customer, to see how you treat people when you think no one important is watching." She looked around at the gathered employees, many of whom were now studying the floor intently. "I spent 15 years in customer service before meeting Daniel. I worked my way up from cashier to regional manager. I know the difference between following protocol and deliberate humiliation." Kenneth's attempt at recovery was painful to watch. "Mrs. Richardson, I assure you, if there was any impression of disrespect—" "There was more than an impression," Amelia cut in firmly. "There was a systematic effort to make me feel unwelcome based solely on how I look and what I wear." Daniel stepped forward. "I acquired this dealership because of its reputation for excellence, but clearly that reputation is built on exclusivity rather than service." He turned to address the entire sales floor. "For those who don't know, I'm Daniel Richardson of Richardson Auto Group. As of last week, we own this dealership. Tomorrow, a transition team will arrive to begin assessment." The implications hung in the air like a guillotine blade. "Today was supposed to be a quiet visit," Daniel continued, "a chance to observe normal operations before making staffing decisions. Gregory finally found his voice. "Mr. Richardson, please understand." "I understand perfectly," Daniel replied. "I saw exactly how you treat customers who don't match your preconceptions of wealth." The following week transformed North Lake Luxury Auto. Kenneth and Gregory were no longer employed there, their positions quickly filled by team members who embraced the Richardson philosophy of respect first. Amelia took an active role in the transition, implementing training programs focused on equitable customer treatment. The showroom's atmosphere changed dramatically as the staff learned that prejudgment had no place in true luxury service. 1 month later, Amelia returned, wearing the same simple outfit. Thomas, a newly promoted sales consultant, greeted her warmly. "Good morning, Mrs. Richardson. Here to see Daniel?" "Actually," she smiled, "I'm here as a customer today. I'd like to test drive the Balazza GT." "Absolutely. The keys are ready whenever you are," Thomas replied without hesitation. As Amelia settled into the driver's seat, she caught Daniel watching proudly from his office. Some lessons about respect and appearance were worth teaching, even when they came with uncomfortable revelations. Has someone ever underestimated you based on your appearance? We've all faced those moments when others judge us before knowing our true worth or capabilities. If this story resonated with you, we'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. Where are you watching from today? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us all that true character isn't found in expensive clothes or luxury items. It's in how we treat each other. Remember, the most powerful response to prejudice isn't always anger. Sometimes it's simply showing people exactly who you really are.